Good morning. So, this morning I've got a very encouraging message from Jesus, and it's about the type of souls that he chooses and what he's looking for. So, here goes. My children, my love and power is drawn to your weakness and misery, and the more you see your weakness, the more I will come to you with my strength. I can do nothing, my children, with those souls who think that they don't need me and serve me from their own ideas and strength rather than mine. I have no need of your human ideas, no matter how good, or your human strength, no matter how strong. What could I learn from you? What advice could you give me? What strength could you give me? I say this neither to humiliate you or to be boastful. I say this because it is true. The only thing I need from you is your humility and obedience, to allow me to work through you and to allow me to act in my way using my power. Sadly, my children, so much of what you do for me, is not pleasing to me because you never asked me what I want. My children, you will never know my will if you don't spend time with me in prayer and learn to listen. Let prayer, my children, be your priority and read over and over the lives of the saints so as to learn from their example. Well, what to say? Jesus certainly doesn't hold back. He's not backwards and coming forwards, as we might say. And yet we can see Jesus' dilemma. See, Jesus is there and he wants to act through us. Through the power of the Holy Spirit, he wants to act through us. And yet so many people treat the church or maybe treat the world of evangelization like a human problem. And they say, it's all right, Jesus, I've got an idea. We're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do the other. And these ideas are often what you'd call good ideas rather than God ideas. In other words, from a human point of view, they're good, but from God's point of view, they're total rubbish. And as a result, then, an awful lot of ideas, an awful lot of pastoral activities that can go on are not pleasing to God at all. They come merely from human initiative, often from human pride, and it's not at all what Jesus wants. And that's why Jesus says, my love and power is drawn to your weakness and misery. And the more you can see your weakness and misery, the more I will come to you with my strength. So why is that? Well, you see, when Jesus sees someone that's weak and someone that's miserable, he sees someone that needs him. And because he sees someone that needs him, Jesus can work with that soul, and that soul can work with Jesus, because that soul knows well that they can do absolutely nothing. They can do no evangelization, they can do no prayer, they can do no help without Jesus' help. And as a result, they're clinging to Jesus, wanting to know Jesus' will, and then afterwards begging Jesus to give them the strength and the power to do it. But on the contrary, he says, I can do nothing, my children, with those souls who think that they don't need me and serve me from their own ideas and strength rather than mine. So in other words, those type of souls that look competent and confident and they have doing this and they're doing that and they barely spend a minute in prayer, Jesus says that he can do nothing with them because they don't need him. So in other words, because they think, of course everyone needs him, but because they think that they don't need him, they're too busy doing their own ideas. In fact, if they were, the managing director in heaven 2,000 years ago, they'd have said, Jesus, I've got an idea. You're certainly not going to come down to earth as a little baby. Nobody will believe you. No. I've got an idea now, Jesus. It's much better. You'll come down to earth in the year 2023 when we've got Facebook and Instagram, and you'll come in a big cloud and stuff like that, and we'll be there with video recorders and we'll record you and we'll put it on the internet and everybody will believe in you, Jesus, and then you go around and you'll do global miracles and you'll fix all the problems in the world, you'll fix everything and we'll all love you. You see, that is what would be a human idea, whereas God's idea was to come as a little baby, unknown, born to the Virgin Mary, and basically to seek out souls that actually loved him, quality rather than quantity. And see, this is what Jesus is saying. that his ideas are so far removed from our ideas, and if we don't spend time in prayer, then we're going to totally and utterly miss the boat, and we're going to come up with all these mad ideas, which from a human point of view, if we were running a bank or running a shopping centre, they'd probably be great, but we're not. Jesus is the one running the church, not us. And so Jesus goes on to say, he says, I have no need of your human ideas, no matter how good, or your human strength, no matter how strong. And as he was saying this, I could really feel in his heart a sense of disgust, even. Not in a boastful way or a prideful way. He has infinite love for us, but yet in his infinite love, he knows that our ideas are infinitely limited and our strength is infinitely weak in comparison to him. And so he says, I'm not being boastful. I'm saying this neither to humiliate you or to be boastful, but just because it's true. And so he's saying, what could I possibly learn from you? I am God. I know absolutely everything. What could I possibly learn from any of you? What advice could you give me? If you were to die or if you were to come up to heaven, is there something that you could advise me on? Is there something that I'm missing out on? Obviously not. And what strength could you give me? Here I am, God, who keeps absolutely all of you in existence from the beginning of time. Here I am keeping the universe in existence. And what, you're going to give me some strength? You're going to help me? I don't think so. So Jesus is saying the only thing that I need from you is your humility and obedience to allow me to work through you and to allow me to act in my way using my power. And so Jesus is saying that we need to be like a window. We need to let his light, his power in. And Mother Teresa, she described herself just as a little pen in God's hand. God was the one doing the writing and she was the pen. And he goes on to say that so much of what you do is not pleasing to me because you never asked me what I want. In other words, it's like, for example, you sometimes see it in the movies, husband and wife, and they're not getting on well at all. And then the husband goes off and he buys the wife a big car and a big holiday and a big everything for her birthday. And she's horrified. And the reason she's horrified is because she has no interest in cars. She has no interest in holidays. Actually, the thing that she would have liked the most is if he had an evening with her, if he worked less, and if he just spent time with her and loved her and spent time with his son or with his daughter instead of spending all that money. And so Jesus then very humbly and honestly says, you will never know my will if you don't spend time with me in prayer and learn to listen. In other words, if you don't spend time with Jesus, with your heart, you will absolutely never know what he wants. And even more sadly, you might spend your entire life thinking you're serving him and actually you're just insulting him, really, because you're not listening to him at all. And so he finishes the last sentence by saying, let prayer, my children, be your priority, and read over and over the lives of the saints so as to learn from their example. The saints are our guides, because when we read the lives of the saints, we read lives that were very eccentric, that were very different, that were very hidden. At times they were totally crazy in the eyes of the world. They were rejected in their time. They suffered in their time. They made crazy at times acts of faith, acts of providence. They took enormous risks. Sometimes they risked their lives. Sometimes they were martyred. They suffered horrendously at times with misunderstandings in their own communities. They suffered with horrendous misunderstandings at times with governments, with kings, and all sorts of stuff. Many of them had many mystical experiences. In the mystical experiences, Jesus asked them often to do things that were very challenging as well, that encountered much opposition, much resistance. But they kept going, they kept praying, they spent endless hours on their knees in front of the Blessed Sacrament. They meditated on the life of Jesus, they meditated on the Passion of Jesus, they meditated on the Mass, they went to the sacraments so often. They loved Jesus as best they can or could with all their hearts, with all their lives, with all their souls. And they are the examples, they are the people we should be following, and not some modern theologians who don't know their, well, I won't say, but anyway. So read the lives of the saints, meditate on the life of Jesus, and let the power of Jesus and the wisdom of Jesus and the will of Jesus act in our lives. And if people think we're totally cuckoo and crazy, well, so what? because they'll find out on the other side if their eyes don't get opened on this side. So on that note, have a great day, but do your absolute best to follow Jesus, be prepared for the unexpected, and yes, read the lives of the saints, because it's also the saints in heaven that will inspire us and give us that necessary confidence, power, and wisdom to step aside from the crowd and to do Jesus' will in our lives, no matter how weird or wacky or different, because at the end of the day, all that really matters is pleasing Him and bringing souls to Him. So, thank you for watching.